you'll know what it means to steal someone's life.
My name's David, I'm 30 years old, and I work as a senior financial analyst at a medium-sized investment firm here in Chicago. My annual salary sits around $140,000, which isn't wealthy by any stretch, but it's comfortable enough. I drive a 2015 Honda Accord that's completely paid off. I live in a decent one-bedroom apartment in Lincoln Park, and I've managed to save approximately $85,000 split between my 401k retirement account and an emergency fund that I've been building steadily. I'm laying all this financial information out up front because, as it turns out, money became the entire foundation of why my relationship imploded, even though I didn't recognize the warning signs until it was far too late. Rachel and I had been together for 3 full years when everything fell apart. We first met at a mutual friend's birthday celebration back in May of 2021. She worked as a marketing coordinator for a mid-tier beauty brand, pulling in around $55,000 annually. And honestly, finances never created any tension or conflict between us during those early days. We divided the cost of dates pretty equally and fairly. During the beginning stages, I probably paid for maybe 60% of our outings, but it felt completely natural and balanced. She had this incredible sense of humor, genuine ambition for her career, absolutely loved discovering new restaurants and hidden food spots, and we just connected on every level. I genuinely believed with my whole heart that we were constructing something meaningful and lasting together. That entire first year together was absolutely phenomenal. We'd spend our weekends wandering through different Chicago neighborhoods we'd never explored, hunting down hole-in-the-wall restaurants that served authentic cuisine, attending free outdoor concerts at Millennium Park during the summer months. She never once complained about my older Honda or criticized my modest apartment. She genuinely seemed happy and content with what we had. We discussed potential future plans frequently, like eventually moving in together to save money, adopting a dog from a local shelter, maybe taking a trip to Europe once we'd both saved enough money to make it happen comfortably. Everything about our relationship felt authentic and genuine. But approximately 6 months ago, subtle changes started appearing in Rachel's behavior and attitude. She began making these little comments that seemed innocent at first glance. We'd be watching some luxurious travel show on Netflix together, and she'd suddenly say something like, "Wouldn't it be incredible to go somewhere like the Maldives like those people on screen?" I'd laugh it off and respond with something like, "Maybe in a few years when I get promoted to VP level." She'd go completely quiet after that, her smile fading into something resembling disappointment or frustration. Or we'd be scrolling through Instagram together on her couch, and she'd pause on posts featuring massive engagement rings, designer handbags from brands like Gucci or Louis Vuitton, or luxury vacations to tropical destinations. She'd linger on those specific posts significantly longer than she used to, studying them intently, sometimes even screenshotting them without explanation. Then there were her 3 closest friends, Monica, Katie, and Beth. We'd meet up with them approximately twice a month for dinners or drinks, and every single gathering without fail, the conversation would somehow shift toward money and material possessions. Monica's boyfriend had just purchased her an expensive Tiffany bracelet for no particular reason. Katie's boyfriend had surprised her with a spontaneous weekend getaway to Cabo. Beth's boyfriend had leased her a brand new BMW as a birthday present. And every single time after these gatherings, Rachel would come back to my place or hers noticeably quieter than usual, lost in her own thoughts, distant. 3 months ago, she actively started pulling away from our relationship. The texts during the day became less frequent and less engaged. When I'd send her funny memes I found or ask how her lunch was going, I'd receive one-word responses several hours later, or just tired or busy, with no elaboration. When I'd suggest coming over to her place after work to spend time together, she'd make excuses. Our regular Friday evening date nights gradually transformed into every other Friday, then somehow shifted to just once monthly. The closeness and connection we'd built was evaporating before my eyes. When I finally gathered the courage to confront her directly on a Tuesday evening in mid-July, we were sitting in my living room with Thai takeout containers getting cold on my coffee table between us. She looked uncomfortable and wouldn't make eye contact with me. She told me, "I just feel like we're not progressing anywhere, you know? Like, where is this relationship actually going?" I explained to her that I loved her deeply, that I was actively and deliberately saving for a down payment on a house for us, that I wanted a genuine long-term future with her, that I was seriously planning to propose to her within the next year. I even pulled up my detailed savings spreadsheet on my laptop, showing her my timeline, my monthly savings plan, my entire financial strategy for our future. She nodded slowly while looking at the numbers, but her eyes looked distant and disconnected, like her mind was already somewhere else entirely. Like my carefully constructed plan wasn't impressive enough or fast enough for whatever timeline she'd created in her head. 2 weeks ago, everything absolutely exploded in the most public and humiliating way possible. It was Saturday night, specifically August 24th. Rachel invited me to Beth's 28th birthday dinner celebration at this upscale Italian restaurant downtown called Girasole. It's the type of place with thick cloth napkins, a wine list that's literally thicker than a phone book, and an actual professional sommelier who walks around making recommendations. I wore my navy blue button-down shirt and dark slacks. Nothing particularly fancy or expensive, but clean, presentable, and appropriate for the venue. When I arrived at exactly 7:30 p.m. as planned, Rachel barely even acknowledged my presence or existence. She was already 2 full glasses deep into Prosecco, laughing extremely loudly with her friends clustered at the bar area, and I felt like a complete ghost she could see directly through. The restaurant was absolutely packed with people, small candles flickering romantically on every single table, soft jazz music playing in the background creating ambiance. Our group had reserved a long rectangular table positioned near the large window that overlooked the Chicago River with the city lights reflecting on the water. I ended up sitting at the far end of the table directly next to Rachel, who immediately and deliberately turned her complete attention to Katie on her opposite side. They launched into this animated discussion about some influencer controversy or drama that I couldn't have cared less about if I tried. I ordered a beer and attempted to make small talk conversation with Todd, who's Beth's boyfriend, discussing the Bears' absolutely terrible season so far. He was polite and courteous enough, but his attention kept constantly drifting back to checking his phone for work emails. Halfway through the dinner service, right after the appetizers had arrived at our table, bruschetta and calamari that cost $24 each according to the menu, Todd started enthusiastically talking about the Tesla Model S he'd just purchased brand new, fully loaded with every possible feature and option, $95,000 total. Everyone at the table reacted with exaggerated oohs and ahs like he'd just announced he'd won the actual lottery. He eagerly pulled out his iPhone, showing off multiple pictures he'd taken of the pristine white exterior, the massive futuristic touchscreen dashboard, all the advanced autopilot features, the insane acceleration times from 0 to 60. "Man, that's absolutely incredible," said Ryan, who's Monica's boyfriend. "I'm actually looking at the Model X myself right now. Those Falcon Wing doors are absolutely sick." Then Luke, Katie's boyfriend, casually mentioned that he'd just successfully closed on purchasing a 2-bedroom condo in River North. Got it for $480,000, but with all the neighborhood development happening, it'll easily be worth $600,000 within 3 years. Already got it professionally appraised higher than what I actually paid for it. Ryan works in tech at some startup company and started going on and on about his company's employee stock options. If we IPO next year, like literally everyone's projecting we will, I'm looking at a potential bonus of at minimum $200,000. Could realistically be significantly more depending on what valuation we hit during the IPO. I deliberately stayed completely quiet throughout all of this. I'm genuinely not a flashy person by nature. I don't feel any need whatsoever to wave my paycheck or possessions around to feel validated about myself or my worth. I was focused on cutting into my chicken parmesan, which was admittedly absolutely delicious, minding my own business and trying to enjoy my meal, when Rachel suddenly said it loud enough for everyone to hear. "Yeah, well, David's still driving his college car from years ago." The entire table went briefly and awkwardly silent for a couple seconds. Then everyone let out these uncomfortable, awkward chuckles. Not exactly mean or cruel laughter, just those awkward sounds people make to fill uncomfortable silence when someone says something inappropriate. But it stung like absolute hell deep in my chest. I looked directly at her across the table, my fork still suspended in my hand midair. "It's completely paid off. 0 debt, no monthly payments whatsoever." She rolled her eyes in this dramatic, exaggerated way, taking another long sip of her wine. "That's really not the flex you think it is, babe." I felt my chest physically tighten with tension, heat creeping steadily up my neck and face, but I maintained a carefully neutral facial expression. I set my fork down on my plate carefully and deliberately. "Excuse me for a moment, I need to use the restroom." I walked past the crowded bar area, past romantic couples enjoying their intimate meals together, and into the men's bathroom. I splashed cold water on my overheating face, stared at my own reflection in the mirror under the harsh fluorescent lighting, and told myself firmly to just let it go. She was drunk and not thinking clearly. She was performing and showing off for her friends. It didn't actually mean anything real or permanent. We'd have a proper discussion about it tomorrow when she was sober and thinking clearly. But when I returned to the table, carefully weaving through the busy waitstaff carrying heavy trays of pasta dishes and wine bottles, I overheard her talking. She was leaning closely toward Beth, her voice lowered but absolutely not low enough to be private. "I just genuinely don't see him ever reaching the level I want for my life, you know? Like he's completely comfortable being mediocre. He has absolutely no real ambition to level up his career or lifestyle. He's perfectly content with just good enough." I stood there completely frozen for a second or two, positioned 3 feet directly behind her chair, my hand gripping tightly onto the back of an empty chair. Those specific words hit me significantly harder than even the public humiliation had moments before. Mediocre, no ambition, content with good enough. Those devastating words were coming from someone who claimed to love me, who I'd been planning to propose to and build a life with. I walked back around to my seat, sat down quietly, and didn't speak another single word for the entire remainder of dinner. I smiled politely and appropriately when someone spoke directly to me, nodded when it seemed appropriate to do so, and mentally counted the minutes until we could finally leave this nightmare. The dessert course felt like it lasted several hours, even though it was probably only 30 minutes. When our group finally got outside around 10:45 p.m., the cool night air hit my overheated face. It felt like genuine relief after the stuffy, crowded restaurant interior. Rachel was noticeably tipsy and unsteady, giggling loudly about something Beth had said, physically leaning on Katie for balance and support as they walked toward the parking area. I told her directly that I'd drive her home safely since she'd clearly been drinking far too much booze. She waved me off dismissively without even looking at my face. "I'm staying at Beth's place tonight. We're doing a girls' night thing, watching movies or whatever." "All right then," I said, deliberately keeping my voice completely even and controlled. "Text me when you get there safely." "Yeah, sure, whatever," she said, without making any eye contact with me whatsoever. I started walking steadily toward the parking garage located across the street, hands buried deep in my pockets, trying to process everything that had just happened. I'd made it maybe 20 feet, was almost at the crosswalk intersection when she suddenly yelled it. Her voice cut sharply through all the ambient sounds of downtown traffic, the constant honking cars, the distant police sirens. "You know what, David? You'll never be good enough for me. Never." Everything around me stopped moving. Her friends went completely and utterly silent. A couple walking their small dog on the sidewalk turned around to stare at the commotion. A group of people smoking cigarettes outside a nearby bar looked over to see what was happening. I stopped walking immediately. My back was still facing her, and I took one deep, controlled breath. Then I turned around very slowly and deliberately. She was standing there in her black dress and high heels, arms crossed defensively across her chest, mascara slightly smudged around her eyes, looking at me like I was somehow the problem in this situation. Like I was the one who'd done something wrong to her. Her friends were all staring at her with genuinely wide eyes, mouths hanging slightly open in complete shock at what she just screamed publicly. I just smiled at her. Calm, completely controlled. The specific kind of smile that absolutely doesn't reach your eyes or convey any real warmth. "You're probably right about that," I said clearly, my voice steady and loud enough for absolutely everyone present to hear distinctly. Then I turned back around, walked directly to my car, got inside, and drove away from that entire scene. My hands gripped the steering wheel so incredibly tight that my knuckles turned completely white. I didn't cry, even once. I didn't scream or punch my dashboard or call her any names. I just drove home in complete, absolute silence, the city lights blurring past my car windows, my mind surprisingly and eerily blank. When I finally got home around 11:15 p.m., I poured myself 3 generous fingers of bourbon, sat down on my couch in complete darkness, and stared at my black TV screen for approximately 2 full hours. My phone sat face down on the coffee table in front of me. I didn't want to look at it. Didn't want to see her pathetic excuses or hollow apologies or whatever manipulative things she'd inevitably send. Around 11:30 p.m., I finally picked up my phone and looked at the screen. 3 text messages were waiting there for me. Rachel: "Hey, I'm really sorry about tonight. That was completely out of line. You didn't deserve that at all." Katie: "Dude, we told her off hard after you left, like seriously went off on her. She was way out of pocket. I'm so sorry you had to hear that, David." Beth: "I need you to know that after you left, we all absolutely laid into her. I told her directly that she just humiliated the best guy she's ever dated in front of everyone for absolutely no reason." Monica called her shallow and materialistic to her face. Katie said she was acting like a spoiled brat who doesn't know what she has. Rachel started crying and saying she didn't mean it, that she was just frustrated with her life and her job. But honestly, I think she's been listening to way too much toxic BS from Instagram influencers and people who think a man's worth is measured by his bank account. You deserve so much better than this treatment. I'm really sorry my birthday was ruined like that. I read all 3 messages carefully twice. I didn't respond to any of them whatsoever. I simply turned my phone completely off and went to bed around 1 a.m., lying there staring at my ceiling in the darkness for hours. Sunday morning, I woke up at 9 a.m. to discover 14 missed calls from Rachel and a long string of increasingly desperate text messages that had been arriving throughout the overnight hours. "David, please call me back. I'm so incredibly sorry. I was drunk. I didn't mean any of it. Can we please just talk? I'm literally begging you. I love you so much. Please don't ignore me. You're not mediocre at all. I was just drunk and stupid." I didn't respond to any single one of them. Instead, I got up, made myself coffee, and called my best friend Chris around 10 a.m. I told him absolutely everything that had happened the previous night. He listened carefully without interrupting me once, and when I finally finished explaining the whole situation, he said firmly, "Bro, you just dodged a nuclear missile. Let her sit with what she did. Don't respond at all. She needs to understand there are real consequences for her actions." Monday at work, I kept my phone on Do Not Disturb mode the entire day. I completely buried myself in a complex portfolio analysis project I'd been avoiding for weeks. Numbers, detailed spreadsheets, market projections. It was exactly what I needed to keep my mind fully occupied. My boss even commented that I seemed exceptionally focused and asked if everything was okay in my life. I just said I was in the zone and left it at that. Tuesday was identical to Monday. Head down, working straight through lunch, staying at the office until 7 p.m. Wednesday evening around 6:30 p.m., as I was heating up some leftover pizza in my microwave, someone knocked loudly on my apartment door. I looked through the peephole and saw Rachel standing there looking terrible. I opened the door reluctantly. She looked absolutely destroyed and wrecked. Puffy red eyes from crying, absolutely no makeup on, wearing old faded gray sweatpants and a Northwestern hoodie I'd never seen her wear before. Her hair was pulled back in a messy, hasty bun. "Can I please come in, please?" she asked quietly. I sighed very deeply and stepped aside to let her enter. She walked in slowly and carefully sat down on my couch, the exact same spot where I'd sat completely alone after she humiliated me publicly. The bitter irony wasn't lost on me whatsoever. "I was drunk and stupid," she started, her voice noticeably shaky. "I've been under so much pressure at work with the new product launch, and my friends have constantly been in my ear about what specifically?" I cut her off, my voice significantly harder than I'd intended. "About me not being rich enough for you, not flashy enough, not good enough for your standards." She looked down at her fidgeting hands, playing with her phone nervously. "It's not like that at all." "Then what is it like, Rachel? Explain it to me clearly. Because from where I'm sitting right now, you publicly humiliated me in front of your friends, called me mediocre, and told me I'd never be good enough for you. So please help me understand your perspective." She was completely quiet for what felt like an eternity. I could hear my neighbor's TV through the thin wall, some sports announcer yelling enthusiastically about a touchdown. Finally, she said very quietly, "I guess I just wanted more from life." "More of what exactly?" I leaned forward intently. "I work extremely hard every single day. I'm completely loyal. I've never once lied to you or disrespected you. I've been there for you through job stress, family drama, everything imaginable. I was actively planning to propose to you. What more could you possibly want from me?" "I don't know," she whispered, tears starting to fall down her cheeks. I just feel like everyone around me is leveling up their lives, and we're just stuck in the same place forever. Stuck, I repeated slowly, deliberately letting the word hang in the air between us. You think 3 years of genuine love and building something real together is being stuck because I don't drive a Tesla or buy you expensive jewelry constantly? She started crying significantly harder, her shoulders physically shaking. I didn't say that exactly. You did, actually. Maybe not in those exact words, but that's precisely what you meant. You said I'd never be good enough for you in front of everyone we know. You humiliated me publicly. I didn't mean it. I swear to God I didn't mean it. But you thought it, I said quietly, feeling surprisingly calm. And that's the real problem here. You can apologize for saying it out loud, but you can't take back that you actually believe it deep down. I asked her to leave my apartment. She begged me desperately to reconsider, said she'd do anything to fix this situation, that she loved me, that we could go to couples therapy together, that she'd prove she didn't mean it. I told her I needed space and time to think clearly. She nodded while wiping her eyes and left crying into her hands as she walked down the hallway. A full week passed in complete silence. I didn't reach out, didn't check her social media profiles, didn't ask our mutual friends about her. I just focused entirely on work and myself. I started hitting the gym every morning before work, something I'd been meaning to do for months. It felt genuinely good to have routine again. Then, on September 7th, I got an unexpected call from Katie around 1 p.m. while I was at lunch. She sounded genuinely panicked, speaking extremely fast. "David, I need to tell you something, and you're going to be really pissed." My stomach immediately dropped. I set down my sandwich. What happened? Rachel's been texting her ex, like a lot apparently, and Todd saw her actually meeting up with him at that coffee shop on Michigan Avenue yesterday afternoon around 3 p.m. I felt completely numb. Her ex? You mean Ethan? Yeah, the finance bro from Goldman Sachs who cheated on her 2 years ago, the one she swore she'd never forgive. Ethan, the guy who made over $200,000 base salary plus substantial bonuses, drove a Porsche Cayenne, wore expensive Rolex watches, and treated Rachel like an accessory to show off at company events. The same guy she'd sworn repeatedly she hated and would never speak to again. Are you absolutely sure about this? Todd took a picture from across the street when he was walking to a client meeting. I'm sending it to you right now. A minute later, my phone buzzed. There they were, clear as day. Rachel and Ethan sitting at an outdoor table at Intelligentsia Coffee, both laughing comfortably, looking like no time had passed. She was wearing the blue floral dress I'd bought her for her birthday last year. The dress, she said, made her feel beautiful. I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel betrayed or hurt. I just felt genuinely relieved. Like a massive weight had lifted completely off my shoulders. Like the universe had just confirmed what I already knew deep down. I'd made the right decision. I texted Rachel. We're done. Don't contact me again. She called within 30 seconds. I declined the call and watched her name disappear from my screen. She texted immediately after. David, please let me explain. He reached out to apologize for everything. I swear it's nothing. We just talked. I still love you. Please. I blocked her number, her Instagram, her Facebook, everything. Complete digital silence. 2 weeks after I blocked Rachel completely, Monica called me on a Friday night around 8 p.m. I was at home watching a Cubs game with a beer, actually feeling pretty good about life for the first time in weeks. Hey, David, I wanted to give you a heads up about something, Monica said carefully. Rachel and Ethan made it official. They're dating again. She posted about it on Instagram this morning. Good for her, I said, and I genuinely meant it. She got what she wanted. That's the thing, though, Monica continued. Beth and I went to brunch with her last Sunday. And she spent the whole time either on her phone texting Ethan or talking about him, but not in a happy way. She kept saying things like, he wants me to dress more sophisticated, and he thinks I should network more with important people, and he's helping me become a better version of myself. It was weird as hell. Sounds like Ethan, I said. He always treated her like a project. Yeah, well, it's gotten worse. Apparently, Katie saw them at dinner Tuesday night, and Ethan spent the entire meal on his phone doing work emails. Didn't even look at Rachel once, just kept ordering for her without asking what she wanted. I took a sip of my beer. That's his style. Everything has to be controlled by him. There's more, Monica said. Beth ran into Rachel at Target yesterday, and Rachel looked absolutely miserable. She tried to act happy showing off this Gucci bag Ethan bought her, but Beth said her eyes looked dead. And get this, Rachel mentioned that Ethan wants her to quit her marketing job because it's beneath the lifestyle he's building, and he wants her to focus on being more present for his career needs. Jesus, I muttered. So he wants her unemployed and completely dependent on him? Exactly. And when Beth asked if she was happy, Rachel just changed the subject really fast, started talking about some charity gala Ethan's taking her to next month and how she needs to buy a $2,000 dress for it. I shook my head. Well, that's her choice. She wanted the luxury lifestyle. Now she's got it. I know, Monica sighed. But I feel bad. We all do. She threw away something real for this fake BS. Anyway, I just wanted you to know. Also, Beth's having a small get-together in 2 weeks if you want to come. Just close friends. Rachel won't be there. I'll think about it, I said. Thanks for letting me know. After we hung up, I sat there thinking about it for a while. Part of me felt vindicated. Rachel had chosen money and status over genuine love, and now she was realizing that money can't buy happiness or real connection. But mostly, I just felt indifferent. She'd made her bed. It's been 3 months since that disastrous birthday dinner. It's now early November, and my life has completely turned around in ways I never expected. First, the professional developments. I got promoted in late October to Associate VP with a significant raise, $175,000 base salary, plus performance bonuses that could add another $30,000. My boss called me into his office and told me my focus and work quality over the past few months had been genuinely exceptional. Funny how a clear mind and no relationship drama can dramatically improve your career performance. I've been hitting the gym consistently 5 days a week, drop 15 pounds, and actually feel strong and healthy for the first time in years. I reconnected with my college buddies I'd lost touch with, started playing basketball on Wednesday nights at a local gym, and honestly, I feel lighter and happier than I have in years. 2 weeks ago, I went to Beth's get-together. It was actually great. About 15 people, excellent food, absolutely no drama. Monica, Katie, and Beth have all been incredibly supportive throughout everything. They've completely cut ties with Rachel over what happened. Apparently, she kept trying to justify her choices and blame me for not being ambitious enough, and they absolutely weren't having it. At the party, Beth pulled me aside privately. I need to tell you something about Rachel. It's bad. What happened? Ethan dumped her last week, completely out of nowhere. She called me crying at 2 a.m. Apparently, he met someone at his firm, some lawyer who went to Yale, and just straight up told Rachel they were done. Said the new girl was more aligned with his professional trajectory or some BS like that. Wow, I said. That's cold, even for Ethan. It gets worse. He kicked her out of his place the same night. She had to call an Uber at midnight with her stuff in trash bags because he wouldn't let her stay until morning. And remember that Gucci bag? He took it back. Said it was technically his property since he bought it. I felt a tiny pang of sympathy, but it faded quickly. What's she doing now? Living with her parents in the suburbs. She had to quit her apartment because she quit her job like Ethan wanted, and now she's got no income. She's applying to jobs, but having a 3-month employment gap is making it really hard. She's basically starting over from absolute scratch. Damn, I said quietly. She tried to reach out to all of us to apologize, but honestly, we're done. You don't treat people like that and expect everyone to just welcome you back with open arms. And between you and me, Beth lowered her voice significantly. She asked Monica if you were seeing anyone. Monica told her it was none of her business. I smiled at that. Good. Last week, Rachel tried reaching out to me from a new number. I didn't have it saved, so the message came through. Unknown, David, it's Rachel. I know you blocked me. I don't blame you. I made the biggest mistake of my life. Ethan and I broke up. I was so stupid and shallow, and I threw away the best thing that ever happened to me. You were right about everything. I miss you so much. I miss us. Is there any chance we could talk? Even just for coffee, I need to apologize properly. I'm so sorry. I stared at that message for about 30 seconds, thought about everything we'd been through together, thought about the good times and the bad times, thought about who she was when we first met versus who she became. Then I deleted the message and blocked the number. I'm not interested in being someone's backup plan or safety net. I'm not interested in being the guy she settles for after the luxury lifestyle didn't work out. I deserve someone who sees my worth from the very beginning, not someone who only realizes it after they've lost it completely. Yesterday, I matched with someone on Hinge. Her name's Sophie, she's a teacher, drives a Toyota, and her profile says she values authenticity over aesthetics. We're getting coffee this Sunday. I'm not expecting anything, but I'm open to possibilities. As for Rachel, I heard through Monica that she's back on dating apps, still living with her parents, working as a contract social media manager for like $40,000 a year. She apparently posts a lot of inspirational quotes about knowing your worth and not settling, which Monica finds absolutely hilarious given the circumstances. I don't wish her damage. I don't wish her well either. I just don't think about her anymore. I'm focused on my own life, my own growth, my own future. And honestly, it feels pretty damn good. A lot of people keep asking if I ever really loved her. I did, deeply. But love isn't enough when someone fundamentally doesn't respect you or value what you bring to the relationship. Some people ask if I should have fought harder for the relationship. Why would I? So she could resent me for not being wealthy enough? So I could spend years trying to prove my worth to someone who already decided I wasn't enough? No thanks. Would I take her back if she apologized again? Absolutely not. I'm nobody's backup plan or safety net. The fact that she only wants me back after Ethan dumped her tells me everything I need to know about her character. The coffee date with Sophie went really well. We talked for 3 hours straight, getting dinner with her next week, taking it slow, but I'm genuinely optimistic about where life is heading.